Hello, everybody. For today's lesson, your last lesson of the week, since you don't have school tomorrow and we just have meetings, you will need a few things. So you'll need a pencil, you will need your math spiral, you'll need a calculator, and you'll need a roll of tin foil. So I will give you a second to go pause, and you'll need a pencil, your spiral, calculator, and tin foil. Go. No, I'm serious. Go get it. Pause the video, go get it. Okay. All right, so today's lesson, we are talking about multiplying binomials. This is like an iconic lesson in algebra, and this is something that it's like if you ask any adult to go FOIL something, they know what you're talking about and they can do it. So, iconic day in algebra. Welcome to it. Congratulations, you have made it. Your objective for today is that you can multiply two binomials. Now, that doesn't sound like it's too crazy, but listen, you got a roll of tinfoil for it, okay? It's important. So in your notebook, here is your title for today. So FOIL, multiplying binomials. Yes, I'm literally talking about FOIL, you guys. Okay. Right now, let's go back into our 7th grade knowledge. We know that this property right here, this is just the distributive property. If you have a term outside of parentheses, we know that we're combining those using multiplication, distributive property. So I'm doing 5 times x, which is 5x, and then 5 times 6, which is 30. And that's all that it was. That is your foundation for our lesson today. Today, we are looking at how to multiply two binomials. So here's a binomial because it has two terms, and here's a binomial because it has two terms. I'm going to have you guys pause the video and give this a try before I show you anything. So can you multiply those binomials and combine like terms and get one final concise answer? Go ahead. When you did that, here's my question for you. I'm guessing that when you multiplied each term, you started with your x here, and you're like, all right, I did x times 2x, and then I did x times 5. And then to make sure that you multiplied 2 by everything, you did 2 by 2x, and then 2 by 5. That is 100% okay. That is totally fine for multiplying binomials. When I say FOIL, though, that is actually an acronym. FOIL stands for first, outside, inside, last. So first, outside, inside, last. It's basically like a step-by-step way to multiply two binomials, okay? Are we actually going to be foiling our math work? Yes, but it's an acronym. It's not actual tinfoil. So if I gave you these two, you're following FOIL in a step-by-step fashion. So first means that we multiply the first terms in our binomials, which is x and x here. When I do that, I do x times x. That gives me x squared. O stands for outside, so I'm multiplying the outside terms. So x times 1, which is just 1x, or just x. I stands for inside, these inside terms here, and 9 times x gives me 9x. Last stands for the last terms in the binomials. 9 times 1 is 9. Then you combine all of these based on the signs and you get a concise answer. And I'll show you that more in depth. But what I want you to know right now is that today we're working with multiplying two binomials, okay, two quantities with two terms. We're going to be using FOIL as an acronym, like a step-by-step process to do so. And we're going to work with combining like terms. Here's just another way, just to show you, if you want to take a quick picture of it, you can. Just showing you again, you multiply your first terms, outer terms, inner terms, and last terms. If you needed like additional explanation, if you come over here to Google and you just Google FOIL math, look at all of the images that they have for like explanations. Like this is essentially what we're doing today, you guys. We're going to be multiplying it, combining like terms, and getting one concise answer. So here we go. I'm going to show it to you in colors, and then we're actually going to start working it out together. So when we walk through FOIL, it's first, watch the colors of the binomials here. First, outside, inside, last. Okay, watch that one more time. First terms in the binomials. Outside, the outer terms in your binomials. Inside, the inner terms in your binomials. And then last terms in your binomials. So in your notebook, go ahead and write down this first example. We're actually going to go through the problem here. If I asked you to FOIL, okay, these two binomials here, let's start with F. And that means to multiply the first terms in our binomials, which is x and x. Well, I know that x times x gives me x squared. So I've got x squared. Then it says O. O means outer terms. Watch where I highlight to make sure that you have the proper signs that go with your terms. So my outer term here is just x, and then out here it's -3. So what is -3 times x? Well, it's -3x. Then for my inner terms, I've got +2 and x, and 2 times x is just 2x. That's where it comes right here. And then last is just my +2 and my -3. 2 times -3 is -6. So you're going to start to see a pattern, you guys. You're going to start with two binomials. Once you multiply every step of FOIL, notice you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. Then we'll be able to combine these two middle terms because they are like terms. So ask yourself, what is -3x plus 2x? And it's just -1x. So your final answer is x squared minus 1x minus 6. That is your final answer. That is your concise after you've FOILed, and you are done. Let's look at another one together. Okay, make sure you still have your notebook out and you're writing these down. If I gave you, 1 second. All right, we're multiplying two binomials. That should be your cue, like, hello, I need to use my FOIL process to do so. So F stands for first, which means that we're going to be multiplying 2x times 2x. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. Okay, don't forget the squared. Outer terms, 2x and -7. -7 times 2x is -14x. Inner terms, -3 times 2x, which is -6x. And then last, be careful, this is going to be some way that some of you guys get tripped up with in FOIL. It's a really easy math mistake to make. If we do -3 times -7, negative times a negative gives us a positive. So that's going to be a +21. So we started with our two binomials. Okay, we multiplied it out and got our 4 terms, but remember that we need to kind of consolidate and combine like terms whenever we can. So -14x, take away another 6x, brings me way more negative to -20x, and here is your final answer. 4x squared minus 20x plus 21. And you can go one step further and you can tell me that this is a second degree trinomial. You could also tell me that it is quadratic based on the degree of 2. Okay. All right, how about for this one? Let's see if you guys can try this. I don't want to trip you up, but I'm guessing that you guys might get a little bit tripped up and do a common mistake. So go ahead, pause the video, see what you can do. All right. When you see 4x plus 9 squared, so many of us are quick to just distribute the exponent of 2 to each piece inside. However, this means that the whole quantity itself is squared. Like if I told you that you had x squared, that's x times x. Or 4 squared is 4 times 4. That means that when you do 4x plus 9 squared, it's going to look like this, my friends. 4x plus 9 plus 4x plus 9. Do not just distribute that exponent of 2 because you actually have to multiply this entire quantity by itself twice to square it. Now we can go ahead and use the FOIL process. So first is our first terms within our binomials. So we've got 4x times 4x, which is going to give me 16x squared. Then outer terms, 4x times 9, 36x. Inner terms, 4x plus 9 is 36x. Last terms, 9 times 9 gives me 81. Now I know that I can also combine these two middle terms because they're like terms, which would give me a final answer of 16x squared plus 72x plus 81. So far, we've looked at how to multiply binomials using the FOIL process, which is just an acronym for a step-by-step way of multiplying all of your terms. We started with our two binomials, we multiplied them out, we combine like terms, and we get our final answer, okay, which is almost always a trinomial. We've also looked at special cases like this, when you've got 4x plus 9 squared. And we remember that we actually have to write out the quantity twice and then FOIL it out. This is another special case here. Okay, I'm going to show it to you twice, and then I bet that you can see the pattern. If I have x plus 4 times x minus 4, and I FOILed it out, okay, and you can even pause your video and try this before I show you. It'll be more meaningful that way. If I FOILed it out, I'd have x squared minus 4x plus 4x minus 16. When you go to combine those middle two terms, though, notice that you have minus 4x plus 4x. Hopefully you know that if you subtract 4 then you add 4, they cancel out, and your final answer is x squared minus 16. So when I started with x plus 4 and I had x minus 4, my final answer was x squared minus 16. Over here, when I have x plus 9, x minus 9, okay, I'm going to factor it out, or I'm going to FOIL it out. I've got x times x, which is x squared. Then I've got minus 9x plus 9x minus 81. Same situation though. When I've got minus 9x plus 9x, those two cancel out, and I'm left with x squared minus 81. Can you see the pattern here? When I did x plus 4, x minus 4, my final answer was x squared minus 16. When I had x plus 9, x minus 9, my final answer was x squared minus 81. I bet that you could tell me the answer for this one, x plus 12, x minus 12. Hopefully you're going to tell me that it's x squared minus 144. Because when you FOIL it out, you've got minus 12x plus 12x, those cancel, and then it's just x squared minus 144. If I gave you x plus 10, x minus 10, think about what the answer would be. Hopefully you have x squared minus 100. If I gave you x plus 5, x minus 5, FOIL it out, you get x squared minus 25. So that's just kind of like a quick tip for when you're working with these expressions here in the binomials, that if you see something like this, remember that it might not always have your final answer in a trinomial. It might look like a binomial, like x squared minus 16, x squared minus 81. All right, last thing. You might get to a point in which you're multiplying a binomial by a trinomial, okay? If you have to do that, here's what you're going to do. Essentially, it's like you're going to be multiplying the x by this term, and then this term. Then you're going to multiply 3 by every single term inside, okay? That's the only way that you can kind of make that happen. We'll look at this in a further lesson together more in depth, but I just wanted to show it to you really quick just for some exposure. So you guys are used to seeing two binomials multiplied by each other, but if you were to see a binomial by a trinomial, just remember that you can distribute every term using multiplication here, and then you could distribute your second term as well. And we'll cover this in a later lesson, don't worry, but I just want to give you some quick exposure. So, all right, Thursday assignment is just a FOIL Schoology check. It is on Schoology. Take it 2 times for your highest score. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for foiling it up with me. Have a wonderful weekend and enjoy. See you later.